the Bollweg.
How's it, everyone? You are listening to Art with the Bollweg, and today we're going to go over how I like to do my figure drawings. So you can see in the links below I have some other videos that I've already made on figure drawings, but this is basically how I'd work it up to make a figure drawing out of pen. With my drawings, I always like to start with the head first. The reason for this is I can use the head as a basic unit of measurement for the rest of the drawing. Then you're going to notice what I'll start doing from here on is a bit of a stick figure type style. So I'll have a sort of a central stick for the spine or for the leg or for the side of the body, and whenever I have a jointed area, I'll just draw in a little bit of a circle, roughly to the size of what the joint or its muscle mass would be. The second thing I do, and you're going to start seeing it as I progress through the drawing, is to identify where particular aspects of my figure is. I will use these types of angle lines. Now, these angle lines, I'm providing a link to another video that covered how I did that below. I'm going to use these angle lines to find where objects of my figure are according to where they are in relation to each other there. So I'll use a figure line to figure out where the sides of my ribs are, or I'll use a angle line to figure out where the two heads of my drawing are in relation to each other, although I'll admit the particular head that I'm drawing now is wrong. And now you can see I'm using a more precise example. It's from the head to the hand and from the hip to the hand. I can find out by using those angle lines where that hand is, and I'm going to use this type of style for finding objects throughout the drawing. You're also going to note, okay, you won't necessarily notice from your perspective, but in the settings here I'm using a pencil to draw. Now, this is what I mean by when I'm doing a pen figure drawing. Of course, when you make pen drawings, mistakes are kind of unforgiven, but when you want to work with certain mediums, something like pen or ink or paint, they're going, or not necessarily paint, they're going to have that strong contrast that just is better than pencil in my opinion. And if you want to get that strong contrast without having to live through every mistake that you've drawn, you're going to work in pencil first and you're going to work over it in pen, and I'm going to show you a little bit later in this drawing when I start working in pen. Now, the nice thing about working in pencil or when working on a digital platform is you can fix your mistakes. Now, I often find with my drawing style, I only ever really see a number of mistakes once I've already made them. So I tend to have a very sketchy type of style, constantly whittling and working it, where I have this push and pull throughout my drawing method of adding and removing things until I think, okay, cool, that image looks right. So in this pencil stage of this drawing, I'm fixing a lot of my mistakes. I'm drawing something, I'm thinking, okay, that's not quite working, let me erase, let me work over that again. If you're doing this on pencil and paper, I'm going to advise draw very lightly with that pencil. You don't want to scar your paper. And then bit by bit, as I work up that stick figure structure, as I find out where the edges of and the notable points of my figure's aspects are and angled to each other, I start working into the outline detail, the basic detail that I'm going to have before I start adding that pen work. And now you see I'm building up that pen work now. In this digital platform, I'm working on a different layer, but if you're working on paper, you just take that pen and work right of that pencil, because you'll find you can actually erase the pencil and the pen pretty much stays how it is. You may have to go over that pen a little bit more, as the eraser can fade pen. Yeah, you can sort of erase pen, but it won't completely remove it. And bit by bit, I'm adding in that darker, that more intense contrast between black and white that I, from a personal perspective, really enjoy to see in all elements of my drawing. Is that nice, strong contrast that makes your images pop. Also, you're going to notice, enjoy working with this hatching technique. You can also make a bit of a swirling technique depending on how you prefer to draw. And I find this is the best way to create tonal values when working with mediums that don't smudge very well. And even when you are working with mediums that smudge, I do advise that you actually draw up that tonal value as opposed to smudge that tonal value. I find you have a little bit more control or say over it, but if you want to abandon that control, that's a different matter altogether. And you see here, I'm bit by bit, now I'm building up the surface detail, those tonal values that make my figures ever so more convincing, so much more interesting. They're no longer just some schematic drawing of a figure, they're actually building something up. Now, what I've just done there is I've erased the pencil layer. You're going to, if you're working on paper, quite literally just erase the pencil away. And there you just come in and you're going to fill in those additional details in pen that your pencil might have been obscuring. And voila, you have a finished pen drawing in action movement. And if you were to do that pen from freehand to begin with, you wouldn't have quite gotten together that figure type of detail. So if you've got any questions about this video, any questions about my method, if I skipped over something too quickly, if you want to suggest another video that I do in the future, please do pop those in the comments below. Like, subscribe, do the thing. And I'd also like to make a very big thank you to the Dohogran Empire, which supplied this image to me of a nice battle scene. If you want to find out more about what the Dohogran Empire is, you can follow the link below. In the meantime, you guys have an epic day.